Hey guys, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to be going over another one of my StamSorc builds for the Necrom chapter. Before we get started, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It is free, and I would highly appreciate it. We're almost at 6,300 subs, and we're just moving right along. I appreciate that. Also, one other announcement before we get started. If you want to help me out, we did start up a second YouTube channel with just my Twitch VODs. To really be honest about it, you guys don't need to watch the videos. They're my VODs on Twitch, and I don't expect people to just go and watch them all. But what would really mean a lot to me is if you just went over and subscribed to that. The link will be in the description. Once we get that channel to 1,000 subs, I could basically get it monetized, and we just make this full-time content creator thing a reality. So it would just really mean a lot to me. Please take these 2 seconds, pause the video, and just make sure you subscribe to the channel. I would highly appreciate that. But guys, I really like this build a lot. I think that this is definitely one of the better builds that I've put together this patch. I've been enjoying just messing around with StamSorc. I think that this build has a lot of damage, has some really good healing on it, so I just hope that you guys enjoy. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. First things first, we're going to look at our character sheet. We're going to be an Imperial on our StamSorc. I'm always an Imperial in here. It's the only DLC race in the game, and I definitely think it's worth it. You get the 6% reduced cost on all of your abilities, and it's really my only source of build, because Dark Deal really is all the sustain that you need outside of this. I really think that Imperial is just the way to go. So if you have that, awesome. If you don't have Imperial, I think the best races outside of that would be Khajiit, Wood Elf, or maybe even Orc. But overall, I think Imperial is still the best. Our attributes are going to be 31 points into health and 33 points into stamina to get a max health pool of 32 points, max magic pool of 16.5k, and a max stam pool of 22.5k, which I think is all pretty generous. And as you can see right here, our pen just chilling. Our physical pen is 15.4k, so our damage is through the absolute roof. I absolutely love it. It's been insane the amount of damage that we output on here. Our weapon damage is chilling as 4.2k, but it gets a lot higher when we're buffed up. It gets to about like 5.2k or so, which is solid. You don't really need to really push weapon damage on this build when you're with your pen this high. Then also our spell crit gets to about 32%. So again, super solid, all of those stats. I really like these. Our Mundus is going to be the warrior to increase our weapon damage as much as possible. We're also going to be Vampire Stage 3, so that's going to give us the Undeath passive, and Undeath passive makes us more tanky the lower health we are, so I definitely recommend that. And then finally, Jewels of Misrule. This is going to increase our stamina and magic recovery by 315. It's also going to increase our max health by 3,004. Moving on to our gear, I finally found a place for my webcam where I'm not going to be blocking it. So all you guys that are coming back from the last video, I apologize. But hey, look, we've got a better spot. Our monster set, medium Marisalak for our helmet, and medium Marisalak in well fitted for our shoulder. Medium shoulder well fitted, medium impen helmet. Sorry, I didn't say that first part. What Marisalak does, it's awesome. It gives so much dot pressure. The 1 piece gives you max stam, and the 2 piece is when you deal damage with a melee heavy attack, so that's pretty easy to accomplish. You spew a Cone of Corruption, dealing 6,824 disease damage to enemies over 4 seconds, and then that damage is going to be increased by 10% for each negative effect that we have on them, up to a maximum of 300%. But overall, we put a lot of negative effects on them. I think we have a minimum of about 4 to 5 to about 6 negative effects that we have on them at all times, like bare minimum. So this damage is getting increased significantly, and I just think that dot pressure is so huge, and that's just 6,800 without our weapon and spell damage buff. It gets a lot higher when we're fully buffed up. So overall, Marisalak's been really solid for your overall dot pressure, and I really like it a lot. Our front bar set is going to be Shattered Fate. Shattered Fate's a brand new set for Necrom. It's a 5, 10, and 12 piece set, and we're only using 5 pieces of it, so it's just going to give us 7,918 offensive penetration, which is absolutely insane. That amount of pen is just so cool. That's more than any other pen set in the game, including like stuns or anything else, or Spriggans. That way, you don't even need a 2, 3, 4 piece to compete with this, because almost having 8k pen right there is insane. So that's awesome. That's going to be our heavy chest piece. We're also going to be using Shattered Fate for our hands as well. We're going to be using medium well fitted. We're also going to be using heavy reinforced for our legs for Shattered Fate as well. Our other set is going to be his sap. This is going to be light impen for our waist. We're also going to be using light impen for our feet as well for his sap. His sap's going to be on our body at all times, and what that's going to do is it's going to give us a line of max health, weapon and spell damage, max magic, and also after being hit by a disabling effect, immobilization, or snare, you're going to be healing for 2,240 health every 1 second for 5 seconds. And again, this effect can apply once every second, but it cannot stack. So basically, you're just having it so that if you're just getting hit by these, the duration is being increased as much as possible. So you're always getting this heal for the most part whenever you're in a fight. And the amount of healing that I've checked on my combat metrics has been absolutely insane. His sap has been rivaling, it's been a lot higher of a heal sometimes than resolving vigor. It's been a lot higher of a heal than crit surge. So overall, I think on StamSorc, his sap is my favorite setup that I've used in a long time, and I just think it's really solid overall. And the healing is absolutely nuts. So we're going to be using his sap as all 3 of our jewelry pieces as well. Our necklace is going to be bloodthirsty with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. Ring, bloodthirsty, weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. And other ring, again, bloodthirsty, weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. And then for our dual wield maces on our front bar, we're going to be using Shattered Fate as well. Main hand is going to be Nirnhoned, offhand is going to be Sharpened, Maces is going to increase your pen even more, and Sharpened and Nirnhoned is going to increase your weapon and spell damage and pen as well. And I just really like having your pen through the roof on this build. You're just absolutely just chunking people's health bars, and I love it so much. And we're using poisons on this build as well. We're going to be using the drain health poisons. I was using a double dot, but I think I ran out of that. I don't really know why I have these on, but I'll try to get the recipe for that. I don't really remember the recipe off the top of my head. I'm sorry for double dot poisons, but they're in a lot of the guild traders. I definitely recommend looking around and just seeing what poisons work for you. I feel like poisons have been really helpful for dot builds like this. I've been trying them out lately, and I really like the way they feel. And then back bar, Badishron's Perfected Ice Staff. It's super meta. It's just so strong. It's really just good, period, end of statement. So this is going to be defending on our back bar with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. This is going to give you a line of offensive pen, which doesn't really matter because it's on your back bar. And then the actual 2-piece is casting weakness to elements on a target within 15 meters. Is going to basically put a tether between you and your enemies, and you're just going to be doing flame shock or frost damage every 1 second. It also increases damage over time as well. So this damage is absolutely great for your overall, and this is going to be putting 3 different status effects on your enemy as well. So it's bare minimum, your Marisalok damage is going to be increased by at least 30% just by having weakness to elements on them. So your Vadishron staff is going to increase your damage overall, just in general. I love it. Vadishron is just so meta. I'm not reinventing the wheel with using Vadishron, but it's just so strong that you can't even ignore how good it is. Also, for our skills, our main spammable is going to be Rending Slashes. This is going to be a nice little dot damage. Then on top of that, you're also going to be afflicting your enemies with Hemorrhaging. So that's another status effect that you put on them. So if you do Rending and you have your weakness to elements on them with your Vadishron, you're doing so much damage. That's 40% minimum damage that you increase your Marisalok by. So again, that's just more damage that you can have. It's awesome. Does so much damage for your overall burst potential, and I just really like it. Awesome. Camo Hunter is going to be your next ability. This is basically here so that you get Major Savagery and Prophecy, so you increase your weapon and spell crit by 2,600. You're also going to get Minor Berserk by dealing critical damage from an flank, which you have 2 sources to get Minor Berserk on this build. I'll talk about the other one in a little bit. And then also bringing Ignite Blades out of stealth. I've had a lot of luck with that lately, and I really like that. And then Crystal Weapon, this is just going to be, honestly, this is a great damage. This is a great ability for your burst damage. You apply this, and then the next light attack or heavy attack that you do is going to do a lot of burst damage. Your tooltip on this is 7,200, but that's going to be increased when you have your weapon and spell damage buff up, so you don't need to worry about that. That damage goes up. And then also you're going to be reducing your enemy's armor as well, so that's really cool because your pen is already through the roof, so you're just dropping people's armor no matter what you're doing on this build. It's awesome. And then Streak, this is going to be your next ability. I like Streak over Ball of Lightning because this is our only CC on this build. Streak is a great way to kind of line up your burst damage. You can also engage in combat, disengage in combat. This is a great way to just make sure that you're in control of the fight and so that you just know where to go and so that you can just kind of take the fight how it is. If you're getting surrounded and there are too many people, you can kind of disengage, kind of get a better high ground or whatever you need to do, and Streak is just a really good way to apply that. Make sure that you're being a little bit passive with your streaks. Don't streak like 3 or 4 times back to back because it's going to increase cost if you apply it within 4 seconds. So try and do Streak, maybe a second one, and then maybe if you need to actually combo abilities, just hit some buffs on your back bar and then go back to Streak. Other ways, we'll just move on to our next skills. I don't really want to be talking your ears off too much. And then Whirling Blades, this is going to be your execute on this build. So when your enemies are at low health, hit them with that Whirling Blades, even through roll dodge, even like after your streak. It's a great way to just secure that kill. Also, if you're going to go for a streak execute on the kill, like if you see your enemies are at low health, hit them with streak, but make sure when you do that, you back up slightly and then you hit that streak, or you're going to have to run right back to your enemy and then hit him with that Whirling Blades. And by that time, a lot of enemies will have CC broke and then already start to heal. So make sure you back up right before you start streaking. That way you can, right before you streak over an enemy. That way you are a lot closer to your enemy when this streak is complete. I hope that makes sense. And then also our ultimate on our front bar is going to be Thrive in Chaos. I've been using this a lot lately on a bunch of different builds, and I think that's really solid for your overall dot damage. It's just applying this after you have an enemy fully dotted down applies so much pressure, and now that the Mara's meta is dead, using Thrive in Chaos is super solid. Like, you are hitting so hard. And also, it's going to increase your damage done by each enemy's hit, so that's awesome. And also, you're going to be healing for a lot of damage too, so that's just great for your overall pressure and healing. I like this ability a lot. I know a lot of people use Dawnbreaker, but I felt like I didn't need the double stun with Streak and Dawnbreaker. I just wanted to try something new, and I really liked this. Moving on to our next ability, we're going to be using Crit Surge on our back bar. This is going to be your source of major brutality and sorcery, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell damage by 20%. Also on top of that, dealing critical damage is going to heal you for 3,696 health, and that can occur once every second. And we have a lot of damage that's going out on this build. We've got about 30% crit chance, so you are most likely going to be getting some sort of crit damage at least every second on this build. So that healing is through the roof. Between Crit Surge and his sap, that passive healing that you have on this build is phenomenal. And then Hurricane, this is going to be your major resolve buff, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 6k. Also, it's going to be your source of minor expedition, so you're going to be a little bit faster. It's going to increase your movement speed by 15%. Also, you're going to have a nice little AoE around you, and it's going to be increasing in damage and size. This is going to be a 20-second buff and a 20-second AoE around you. So even though it doesn't do too much damage, it can still crit, and that crit alone on Hurricane can proc your Crit Surge very often, and that heals you. So make sure you always have your Hurricane up, and make sure you're in close quarters combat so that you're always trying to have that Crit Surge go up as much as possible. And then Resolving Vigor, this is going to be a 5-second heal over time for you. And then on top of that, it's also going to be your source of minor resolve. So it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds. So Resolving Vigor, minor resolve, Hurricane, major resolve. So between both of these abilities, your armor is increased by 9k, and this is just a great heal over time. You use it on basically every single PvP build in general. I don't know the last time I didn't use Resolving Vigor. I think it was probably one of my Arcanist builds, but besides that, I've used this ability on all of my builds for the last, I can't even tell you how many years. And then Dark Deal, this is going to be a nice source of sustain for you. It's also going to be a nice little burst heal if you can time it right. You're not really going to use much magic on this build, so this is going to sacrifice magic and give you health and stam instead. And the burst heal that you get on it is pretty nice. You get about 9k health when you do this. But the only bad part about it is it can be interrupted. So try to get into the habit of using this ability after you get CC'd. That way you can't be interrupted, and you can just get free Dark Deals, get free sustain easy. It's a great way to keep your sustain up. Also, on top of that, they buffed Dark Deal recently this past patch. So this is your source of minor berserk on this build. So that's an easy source of it. Also, so that's going to increase your damage done by 5%. Also, you're going to be getting minor force as well, so it's going to increase your critical damage by 10%. So, you know, critical damage, I'll always take a buff to that. That's huge extra damage. I'll take it any day of the week. Also, LE susceptibility, this is going to be what's proccing on your Vadistron staff as well. So this is going to be your source of major breach on your enemies. So this is going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k. Also, every 7.5 seconds that the enemy is afflicted with this ability, they're going to be afflicted with 3 different status effects: burning, chilled, and concussion. So again, that is your way to increase your damage in your Marisalok, and honestly, that's just overall great for your damage in general. And so if we do the math real quick on this, if we hit your enemy with LE susceptibility, that's 6k made for the major breach. And then also the crystal weapon, that's an extra 1k for your enemy's armor reduced. If you look at your character sheet, so that's 7k overall, right? For your 6k plus 1k, plus 7k, plus your physical and spell pen already being at 15. You basically got, if you just comboing all your abilities at all times, your pen's basically at 22k at all. Like, that's insane. The amount of damage that this build does is nuts. I've been absolutely loving it. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy. One last thing, we're going to be going on to our champion points. Our blue sodables are going to be Focus Mending, Ironclad, Master at Arms, and Wrathful Strikes. Our red sodables are going to be Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Celerity. And our green tree, the only things that we really care about are Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. And guys, that is the entire build. I hope that you guys enjoy. I really can't stress enough how much I've been enjoying StamSorc this patch. I hope that you guys enjoy too. I think this build was very similar to one of my last ones. I just wanted to try a few new sets on it. I think Shattered Fate was new. I think I did Way of the Fire last time, but overall, I really like this. I hope that you guys like it too. If not, look, that's fine. We all have different play styles and we're all allowed to play in different ways. So that's cool. But again, a few less announcements before we end the video and get onto our footage of the build. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Just click that one button. It's free to do so, and I would highly appreciate it. I want to get this channel to 10k subs eventually, and we're at like 6,200 right now. So for each person that subs, that's just a huge form of support, and we can just get one step closer to the dream. Also, for those of you guys that are subscribed and still want to help me out in other ways, I did start up a second YouTube channel, and that's just my VODs on Twitch. Again, I know I said it at the beginning of the video, but you do not need to watch the videos if you don't want to. They're just my VODs. It's really nothing too special. I stream on Twitch 5 days a week, so, you know, we have those all the time. But a lot of people do like to watch it, though, and a way that we can make this full-time content creator a reality gig for me is we have another source of income with that second channel, and the way that I do that is by having 1,000 subs on it. So if you guys could go and subscribe to that other channel as well, if you're already subscribed here, I would highly appreciate it. The link will be in the description, so please make sure you subscribe to it. We've only got like 300 something subs over there, so I know a lot of you guys watch the videos, so please go just click that button and subscribe. I would highly appreciate it. One last announcement. I know I've talked your guys' ears off. I've talked so much. My throat's sore. I just need to stop talking at this point. If you guys want to follow me on Twitch as well, I would highly appreciate that. We're almost at 9,000 followers over there. So come on, stop by. That link will also be in the description as well. I stream 5 days a week. You can see how we make all of these builds. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I have talked your guys' ears off this video. I've talked just so much. I'm so sorry. I really hope that you guys enjoy the build, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.